All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to a little destination happy hour show, but not totally destination. We have the summer's, kind of over, but we have a wonderful panel for you all tonight. 4 Tendies, right over here. How you doing, 4
Summer's never over here.
Where's that other guy?
Oh, he's in Vietnam right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So thank you for making it, man. Big Kurkowski, what's going on, my friend?
Just hanging out in endless summer as well. Just
Endless summer in Mexico.
Yeah.
And another man of the endless summer, down probably further south. Maybe I haven't looked at it on the map. Mr. Hilarski, how are you doing?
Yeah, further south. Yeah, doing good.
And just ask Jesse, who's been all over just about every topic on all over the social medias this past week, as he is always. Welcome, man. Good to have you back.
Thanks, man.
So there's plenty to talk about. We have, I'm guessing, I can probably, head back to headquarters central in a bit to get some battery life. But if I can't make it there, we've got about 60, 75, maybe 90 minutes max to talk about a ton of topics. There's plenty going on. I guess we'll warm up with just how are we feeling? Just immediate sentiment, like a quick take on the markets. Tendies, I know you, Motley, Dixon, you guys have been talking about this. Kind of, you speculated on prices before the merge, after the merge. Just a quick take on traditional and crypto, like a 30-second take, where you think we are still on target for like a fall winter bottom. Could we go into 2030 or 2023?
Yeah, I think that I said earlier in the year that I thought we could, crypto could potentially bottom in Q4. There's a lot of macro tailwinds that are going to be, driving things, but I still think we could potentially bottom in Q4. We'll have to see, what the Fed does. I mean, this is unlike any bear market before, where, before, stocks were still going up while we were going down. Now you have, housing going down. Housing just started its collapse. Stocks have not gone down nearly enough to warrant a crash. The Fed has made their, statements very clear about raising rates. They did so at the last Fed meeting. They did so at Jackson Hole. So, yeah, I think that there's, and the charts just don't look good right now. The charts on everything look pretty bad. So, I mean, ETH looks, overextended, and it had, its hype event and stuff. The things with the merge, it is basically printing a lot less inflation than even Bitcoin is currently. I think it's something around, like 600 grand worth of inflation a day, and Bitcoin's printing, over 8 figures. So there's a huge difference in that. But these things take time to play out, and the narratives where people bought the last dip, because they knew the merge was coming. And then, maybe the price was lackluster for what they bought for. Maybe that drives us to new lows. So we'll have to see. But, ETH is better today than it was yesterday. So.
Oh, we lost you, Cabana.
It's true.
Senor Kurkowski, I'm dealing with maybe a little breeze here. Don't want to mess up any audio. Any current, short take on market views right now?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Tendies. I mean, I don't think that, we have hit that full bot. Like, the crypto markets have more pain. I think everybody has more pain to come. I mean, but what do I'd hope not. I hope not. It'd be amazing if, and it is fun to play around with toys in the middle of all this. We'll talk about, I'm sure, but what really matters, I think that we may have a little bit more room to go down. I mean, especially if they raise rates. I mean, just okay. I got a call from my metals guy for the first time, and after a long time, and he's like, "I don't know, it's looking like it's what," and I'm like,
"What kind of signal is that, though?" I mean, if the metals guy is calling, we might be close.
Yeah. So I don't, like I said, I'd love to say that. I'd love to say that. I mean, oftentimes it feels like the fall moves pretty fast for me. So hopefully the next 3 months move quickly for everyone. um, but you still have some other events in the macro that I'm sure Randy will bring up to that still are to come too. So
Not even talking macro, but other events. What could possibly be thrown in there, Randy Hilarski?
Well, we do have this. The 21st is coming with the more Fed stuff, and then on top of that, we have Shemitah on the 26th. We got the German chancellor got up in front of Parliament and said the 24th of September will be a day that everyone will remember where they were. Now, I don't know what he's talking about, but when some politician with that much power gets up and says something like that, you better listen up. So I'm paying attention. We're all getting Shemitah right now.
An announcement to an announcement. I love it.
An announcement to an announcement. There you go.
I mean,
Hey, Jesse, where do you think we are? Your quick take on either traditional and or crypto markets, or just crypto markets. Your gut, short take.
So we're coming into the fall and then winter season, and what typically happens, crypto goes down. What's different now? Well, there's a lot of negative externalities at the moment that are still pushing all the markets down. We still have a long way to go, I feel. So could we see a $600 to $800 ETH and an $11,000 Bitcoin like Richard talks about? Yeah, I think we could. Over the course of the next several months. ETH Merge, it wasn't a big sell the event, massive drop off. There was some, right? But it wasn't as big as some of us were expecting. But I think as people realize that, the chain's not any faster and it's really not any cheaper, that whole excitement that people had because they thought that the merge would actually help, is going to cause them to cash out any profits they've had from all that run up and speculation and price action that they may have captured. There's going to be some sell-offs from that over time.
I think of it more of a slow moving train wreck. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a couple weeks.
Yeah, just in terms of like traditional markets, I think I don't think we can bottom until we get a VIX volatility index, maybe at least mid 30s. We're like mid high 20s right now, maybe like 27, 28-ish. Last I saw it today, maybe it came down because we rallied a little bit into the close. And of course, I always cite that because I think crypto follows those markets. I don't think we can bottom until we get like a really big whoosh down, if you will. And and I think Bitcoin, ETH, like Jesse was saying, and probably the panel here would echo. We can expect those to follow, and then maybe we're done. But when's that going to be? And are we actually done? Is there do we have like a rounded bottom? So or is it going to be like an Adam and Steve? Or I'm hoping for an Adam and Eve. And I guess I'll just go over to the HEX price right now. The next topic on the discussion, we're going to talk merge here in a bit because I know there's a lot of opinions on this panel. But I guess I'll start back at the top here with Wendy's HEX price. There's a lot of factors going into it. You mentioned times before you want to see big sharks get out, and that would help make the bottom. We've seen maybe one, maybe two.
We've seen like two
on a slow exit here.
But there's other guys like Shark number 9, Shark number 26. Like they've kind of like changed what they would do. Like one of the guys would just dump every single time, no matter how much he had. He, restaked a lot. One of the guys added 50 million in liquidity, had 50 million liquid that he's dumping slowly, and then restaked 150 million over the course of a year. So, I mean, we have, a lot of downward pressure for a long time, and it sucks because you see the community, so down and stuff like that. But, bear markets are hard. And those of us who've been through them before, we're, warning people in the bull market, hey, it's going to be painful probably,
Big K, Adam and Eve, or Adam and Steve? Do we have another spike down coming, or are we aiming for the glorious rounded bottom, the J-Lo bottom, as some say?
I mean, I'd love it. That would be pretty plush, but I don't think that's what I don't feel like, again, though, it's one of those things where if I feel this way and everybody feels this way and a lot of people are betting on a lot of down, then, maybe we go up for a little bit or something, I mean, like that's can't all be right all the time. So that's my breath of hope. Here's my hopium to you. But really, no, I think we take a stab into it. I just don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah. And right now, I mean, we are at the area where, in passing, I think Richard has mentioned to, perhaps people that he knows, hey, this might be a good area to DCA.
Yeah, he said he's telling his friends to buy here.
Yeah, so I certainly think it is. Randy, your take on current HEX price, we kind of grinding it out down here. I mean, it really is based upon like one player or two could damage it. Yeah. But yeah,
it's too many other things happening, right? So HEX, in my opinion, is like the least of my worries because I don't have any liquid HEX. It's all staked out. There's nothing to touch. I can't do anything with it, so it's good to go. What I'm worried about is the world around me. Are we still going to be? Is the economy going to survive? What's going to happen over the next couple of weeks? Could we have that big capitulation candle and then October is all shiny and ready to go? I'm going to start DCA in October. I don't care what happens. I'm going to start going back in October. So I think that's one of the good things that are going to start to happen again. But November is looking a little bit rough too, not because of anything that has to do with the markets, but because of solar eclipse in the end of October, lunar eclipse. I don't know, you guys probably don't believe in these things, but there's a lot of people that do. So I think there's some really interesting things coming.
Well, the moon definitely has an effect on people. Like, you know that from being a nurse, right? Like, it's true, man. Like, the nights that I would drive to work and I saw a full moon, I was like, oh, fuck.
Ah, shit. Should I call off?
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Subject someone else to this. Okay.
Yeah. When you're a dude on a psych unit, man, when you're in the male nurse, guess what?
Yeah. It's shit's going down. It's gonna get physical.
Hey, Jesse, we gotta actually, before I get to Jesse, we have a couple interesting questions in chat just that I anticipate here, just personal stories. If you want to peep at that, guys, I have no problem, going over one of those from Freedom. Just ask Jesse, what are your views on specifically, I guess, HEX price? Like, obviously, one shark, one whale could wreck it, but at the same time, as we get lower, the more coins that you can get, so if people have dry powder, you can buy more the lower you get. Yeah.
Right. So I don't really like the narrative of blaming either sharks or whales for any price action. You have to remember that these people helped create the price to begin with. Okay. And just throwing your hands up and saying HEX sucks right now because those guys are using the protocol as intended. They put money in, they're earning yield. They have every right to sell that yield, right? Now, we may be selfish and we don't want them to because we want to sell before them, but that's ridiculous, okay? What makes markets go up, any coin go up, is overall sentiment and user adoption. That's it. Like, blaming other people because they're selling because they hope to buy the price up to where it is ridiculous. Now, Bitcoin goes through cycles. It pays inflation to miners who, the price goes up during the bull markets and then they end up selling the tops. HEX does the exact same thing. People stake it, they earn some yield. During bear markets, people like to start dumping it off. And then when people believe that the markets are going to go back up again, people start dumping it less. It follows the same pattern.
Yeah, and we have G Unit comment. It sucks at the moment because PulseChain has a lot. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a totally different story and instant bull if that were to happen. But I
think Jesse's right about a lot of that. The thing that I don't think is different about HEX as other things is that we get to talk about those things, and like we get to analyze whale positions and shark positions. It's like something that like you can do with other projects, but it's just like, are they going to sell or not, you know? Whereas you see stakes, you see, you know, people making maneuvers based on, you know, the timing of the markets as well as their own how they bought the coins, like you said, to begin with. So like it adds the stickiness to like, you know, that people are going to do what we're doing, you know, like you can't help but people to like bite their nails when there's a giant stake coming out. I mean, the system was like kind of designed to do that.
Well, it's not about blaming them, and it's not about blaming the miners in Bitcoin,
No.
right? But every cycle there's miner capitulation. That's just how the market cycles go. So
and you know,
I don't think anybody, especially when I said that, I think like 4 sharks need to wash out. I'm not blaming the sharks. I have plenty of friends that are sharks. Like I don't care. They can do what they want to do. They got their ROI. But I just know market emotion. I know market psychology, and so that's what I'm saying. Like I would feel very comfortable that we bottomed if you see that capitulation.
You know, all the charts we have for HEX, really, they just all help us spread out any sell pressure and spread out our stakes. And it also helps, you know, everyone attempt to front run everyone else. You know, get out at the most opportune time for you, while, you know, you believe that there's going to be less sellers than you. So, I mean, it's good. Really, you could do the same thing with Bitcoin if you analyzed. Like,
it's just so easy with HEX because of all the information we have,
right? Because it's all right there on the chain.
People have built
the
cool
most information of any
drop
coin,
addresses
probably,
in.
right?
Yeah,
we got like hex.info, and you can see all the stakes, and you know, like I've never seen that in any other coin. So yeah, it only makes sense that people would try to, you know, gamify that, and to an extent you can, but to an extent you can't, because you know, just like a shark could have 100 million and dump it and hurt themselves, they might just restake it all for 555.
Well, you just, I mean,
you don't know.
And you just, we were just talking, you just mentioned it, you know, that dude that we were watching, or guy or gal, whoever owns this crypto, that like had been dumping every time. And if you set your watch to that shit and expected them to dump it to X or Y level, like you'd have been wrong. You'd have been like, oh, well, son of a bitch. They switched it up on
you could use it as an opportunity, right? So like if he's dumped like 8 times and you're like, wow, he's pushed the price down and then it wicked back up, you could set limit orders. You could do so. I don't think it's necessarily bad that you look at these things, because it can create opportunities, right? If you're sitting by the computer and you're ready to buy a capitulation candle because you know the pattern of what someone has done over the past, like that's not a bad thing.
I want to limit orders real quick. You mentioned limit orders. There's a weird narrative that goes around in the community. I want to clarify something for everybody. Limit orders for purchasing are good, so you can jump in at a good wick. Limit orders for whales and sharks who are dumping, like you hear this in the HEX community. I wish that those big sellers set limit orders, and really that's not good, because then they're literally just creating a price ceiling and extracting the most amount of money from everybody else. Where if instead they just market dumped and they ate a bunch of slippage, they're extracting the least amount of value from everyone else. And it leaves these opportunities for other people who have limit order purchases able to jump in and capitalize.
It makes redistribution better. And that's why I said, like, having the like 4 sharks, like, you know, we have a lot of sharks that stake, you know, like 30 days, 50 days, you know, whatever. Having a few of them come out and having that massive redistribution of over 1 billion coins to new people in the community who are going to hold 10 to 15 years, I think that's like, you know, that would be very healthy. And we've seen that in Bitcoin, right? We've seen some of the biggest miners, you know, dump at the worst times because they got to pay their bills. And that's just been part of miner capitulation. It's been how people have, you know, predicted bottoms within a general range sometimes. So I think just applying that to HEX, you know, it's a little interesting.
Yeah,
indeed. I wanted to bring up this point or question from Freedom. Thank you for the stream of Titan OGs. Would love to hear how you, and this wasn't on the topics of discussion, but I want to get to this really quick. This is an interesting question. Would love to hear how you guys have dealt with big mistakes, bad decisions in crypto investing. Any personal stories? Does it get easier? I mean, I think with every passing day, it'll get easier because you have that much more experience. I know I've heard Wendy's tell some stories. I think I've heard Big K tell some stories. We can go around real quick and, you know, tell a horror story or two. My dumb mistake I made just for HEX, like I can tell you, I forgot to like self-refer one time and I missed out on a ton of, I guess, USD value nowadays back if you take the adoption amplifier into consideration. And I still think about that one, and that's just a stupid mistake. I've made plenty of dumb mistakes, but that's one that just comes to mind. 4Tendies, you have like have you dealt with a big mistake? I think
I've had so many, many over the year. Like the thing is this is the most volatile asset class in history. You're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna, there's people who missed HEX that knew about it, right? There's people that missed Ethereum and missed ADA and missed Solana. I mean, you can miss a ton of stuff. You can also, not sell when you should be. I've talked to people that have realized, I was talking to one guy yesterday, and he realized a bunch of gains. Okay, so he owed taxes on that, and then bought the top of another coin, and now he has no money, right? And he owes this huge tax bill. So, the saying like, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." Kind of, the pain doesn't necessarily go away. In the next bull market, you won't really, you'll vaguely remember the pain, but it does kind of like wash it away to an extent. Like you're going to be feeling really good. If Pulse is doing numbers, PulseX is doing numbers, Icosa and Hedron are pumping, HEX is pumping. Like you're going to be like, oh, fuck the bear market. Fuck that. That shit was like years ago. I don't give a shit about that. Like, bring another bottle of Dom Perignon, sir. Like that's just how it is. And it's just the natural psychology of the market cycle. And I had friends that, didn't have very much. And they're like, hey, should I retire here? And I'm like, yo, don't do it, man. Like just, you got to think for the long term, because people don't realize how bad it can get. And I think some people now are starting to realize like, oh shit, like it can get pretty bad. But I've had losses. I've had huge losses, like 8-figure losses and stuff. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At the end of the day, if you're a happy person poor, you'll be a happy person rich. And you don't find your happiness from wealth. I mean, obviously, we're all interested in investing in digital assets and stuff like that. But you see a lot of people on Twitter that become like narcissistic and stuff. It's like, don't tie your value as a human being to your wealth. I think that's the safest thing. And I had a friend who killed himself like a couple of weeks ago because he got rugged a final time. And the guy made a lot of money. He could have easily been rich in crypto. He made the wrong moves and stuff like that, and it affected his mental health. He was drinking a lot, doing drugs and stuff like that. And, he took it.
Can you say that again? Don't tie your what?
Don't tie your basically like worth as a human to your wealth. Because some people will, if they're doing well, then they think they're better than everybody. And if they lose that, then they lose who they are as a person. Mm-hmm. In nursing, when I was a nurse, there were some people who tied their entire existence, and Randy might have met people like this, to being a nurse. It was on their car. It was everything. So if something happened and they lose their job, they lose their identity as a person. So don't tie your whole persona to being rich, or,
I would actually agree with you. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is Richard actually had a tweet about this a couple of weeks ago. And it would be interesting for you to have that conversation with Richard.
Yeah. I think like Richard knows. I think Richard, has been poor, has been rich. I don't know how he would handle it, going from the wealth that he has now to being poor again. I don't think anybody really handles it well. It's obviously devastating, but, try to have other things going on in your life, good friends group, good family group. And if you made it once, you can make it again, especially if you did it through, you didn't get lucky, but you were, and I talk about this all the time in crypto. It's like being consistent. Anybody can pick one coin and get rich. It's like, can you pick multiple? Can you see like patterns? Can you see like good founder? This has a good product market fit, the things that Richard talks about, that kind of stuff. If you can do that, then, you can be successful.
Big K, have you made a mistake, or has your record been absolute perfection over the years?
It's a tale of pain and suffering, my friends. There's woe along the way. It's a tale of tons of fun and like you're right though. I never, I've lost many figures and gained many figures in insane silly ways too. When I first started out in crypto and got on Bitcoin Talk, a guy who's like he's dead now. God rest his soul. I don't know him at all, but he gave me some coins for a total shit coin that ended up pumping to like huge, like it went insane. He gave me enough to run a couple master nodes, and then it went out of control high. And I didn't sell at the top. Like, I mean, it was like, I mean, it went from like worth nothing, like here's several thousand of these coins, to worth, I mean, over 25 some odd dollars a coin, you know, and I didn't sell it. Like I sold a little bit, but like not, I could have like cashed out huge amounts for basically nothing. That was like my first, I was like, it's going to keep going. And then when it was back down at like 10 cents, it was like, oh, fuck. So yeah, I mean, I felt the pain. But yeah, I don't think that like, even when I like, cause I thought I was going to be like, I was in crypto like full time for a couple of years, and in the bear market was such a, hot mess last time around that I had to find, I consulted and started doing other tech work, to bring in other income, because obviously there wasn't enough, like it wasn't like, it wasn't viable running the business I was. So yeah, I mean, don't. It's not, crypto's not everything. Financial wealth isn't like everything. Although, I get it that like some people it's something to strive for. Doing well is something to keep you moving. But God, have other hobbies and stuff going on too, and it helps. It helps a lot.
Randy, you have a little tale to tell, or
Sure, I've got plenty. But the first one, the one that really hurt bad, was I had a bunch of dark coin, which then became Dash. And when the new Dash wallet came out, I had plenty of the coins, and I sent them directly to the Dash wallet without going through the upgrade. You had to do something with the coins just to be able to put them into the Dash wallet, and I didn't know that. I was quite a crypto noob at the time. You're talking late 2014, early 2015, something in that time frame. And yeah, it wasn't quite a master node's worth, but it was a lot of freaking money at the top of 2017 when Dash hit $1,300, and all my buddies were cashing out their master nodes, and Randy's were still in La La Land. And my friend Ira Miller, he was Eric Voorhees' partner. He's still a friend of mine here in Panama. And Ira told me, Randy, sorry, man, I can't do anything for you. And he's one of the devs that worked on the Dash wallet. So yeah, so even with somebody that tech savvy, he couldn't help me. That was probably $500,000.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just ask Jesse. Do you have a war tale you can share?
Yeah. So I've participated in Olympus DAO forks, 2 of which did really, really well. I got lucky to get in the first couple days, but then they failed, right? They eventually failed. Now I did well because I sold the top. But I thought because they did so well that others would also do well. So, I aped some there was endless Olympus DAO forks, and many of them were offering insane, like billion% APY yields and stuff. And a lot of those just instantly crashed in like the first day. You put your money in, and the next day it was like rugged. And so I've learned from those. I've learned from some proof of weak hands protocols, and I've also learned from strong nodes. Now, strong nodes also I happened to get very lucky in, but there were several forks of that also failed. Looking at all of those, though, and then comparing them to HEX and comparing them to fee-based protocols instead of just endless inflation or weird taxonomics, really helped me understand which protocols are likely to survive year after year after year versus ones that will only survive for one cycle and then crash. So that's really helped, on the founder side of things, right? Try and develop something that doesn't do any of what those protocols that fail do. Stablecoins, here's what was hard for me, like learning what makes a stablecoin work and what makes a stablecoin fail. Not that I invested in various stablecoin protocols, but I did have to do a deep dive into many different models of it to fully understand, what's going to make a stablecoin survive. But yeah, I have had losses I've just gotten lucky and had more wins than losses, and it's all helped me learn.
Yeah, I think like stories of failure are like some of the most invaluable lessons that we could ever learn. I'm just talking like traditional markets. Like I've had, losses before I ever got into crypto, and that actually helped me avoid probably worse losses in crypto just because of the volatility. So you learn to take your L's, and if you're willing to learn from them rather than quit, I think uh, you're gonna succeed. It's just sticking it out and don't over lever yourself, and don't be crazy with especially in a volatile market. Um, great responses from the panel here. So we had some more questions in the chat. I have a whole list of topics here, but I know like the topic du jour is this little event known as the Merge, and I know this panel specifically has plenty of takes on it. They're passionate about it. I can't wait for y'all to like hear the takes on it. And some of these, just briefly in the green room, these are really thought-provoking takes in terms of actually being a holder of just Hex. Like this pertains directly, to Hex. If you hold Hex, Maxima's, Hedron, especially Hex, but I guess I'll throw it over to you, Wendy's, because you've been streaming with Motley, Dixon. You even had one, I think, last Friday night I tuned into where y'all, had your predictions. How do you think? It seems to have gone well, and I know we're going to get into other areas of it, but your take on what was the Merge?
I think the Merge had been planned for a long time, and like anybody who, it's interesting because in crypto, people hear like a little clip of something something somebody says, and then they run with it, and then they don't actually like do the information, their due diligence, right? So like Senator or the SEC, Gary Gensler, right, says something about proof of stake, could be a security, right? Well, if you actually like read what he said that they could be a security if like a third party is essentially doing it. So it's not to say that like proof of stake is evil or anything like that. It's just that like if you're giving away your keys to third parties, then that could be seen as a security. And we've already seen that. We've already seen BlockFi and Celsius and Voyager and all the issues that they've had, right? So the thing is with the ETH merge, people were saying, oh, ETH 2.0, it's going to be cheap and stuff. I was saying like over maybe 2 years ago that's not the case. Like anybody who like actually dives into the information knew that the merge was just the beacon chain merging with the main chain, and the validators going from proof of work to proof of stake. So, I mean, my take on it is it's what's needed in crypto, because what you have is like I said on RH Max's stream, right? So you had like Charles Hoskinson, you had Gavin Woods, who are all early members of the Ethereum Foundation. And they said, we don't want to upgrade a moving, plane with passengers in it. We'll just start building our own plane in our own hangar, and it'll be much faster and stuff. But as an investor, do you want something like that where you're always going to have to jump from coin to coin to coin? No, you want something that's going to be able to be upgraded while moving so that you can invest long term in it, right? Because we've seen in crypto over the years, someone who's been in crypto a long time, many coins have come and gone. Dash, for example. I didn't think Dash was going to go away, and it got annihilated, and it did not do well this cycle, right? So, having something like Ethereum that is proven that, yes, it's going to take time, but it can upgrade. And, it is on the roadmap to have, 100,000+ transactions a second. Like that's on the roadmap. Do I think it's going to happen this next cycle? No. Is it going to happen in maybe 2 cycles? Probably not. But I think it's going to happen. And there is reasonable things that are happening in the meantime. You have, Optimism, Arbitrum. And like every time I ask this in like the Hex community, nobody's even used these other like layer 2s and stuff. They're so cheap. I mean, it's like right now you could probably do like transactions for like 5 cents on Optimism. And the thing is, it uses ETH. So, what I thought was going to happen with the merge, pretty much played out similar to what I thought. You know, the other things that the variables were what was going to happen with CPI, right? So if CPI, so I think the price went to like, you know, 1,800, 2,000, something like that. If the CPI would have came in much lower, then yeah, we would have pumped to 2,000, 2,200, and then gone down from there. And even after the merge, like right after the merge, you didn't see like an immediate sell of the news because, you know, people are trying to liquidate shorts. You could just see the volatility in those candles. And it was like people just getting like obliterated left and right because people were doing like probably 100x leverage, you know, $1,000, $10,000 on 100x leverage because they're like, oh, I'm smarter than the market. But the market will always, you know, punish people that take extreme stances like that. So the way I see ETHW is, you know, similar to PulseChain. What I've told people about PulseChain is that, you know, many of the coins, you know, are going to have, you know, their set amount of liquidity, and it's going to be a race to go in there and get the coins you want. So, for example, HEX has a community that's going to PulseChain. Sure, there's going to be people who still buy HEX on the ETH chain, and so maybe some people will buy, you know, whatever's lower. But as a community, we're moving over to PulseChain. We're building DApps, like Hexicans are building DApps on PulseChain. You got liquid loans, you got fiat, you got, you know, this whole infrastructure that's being built over there. The whole reason that PulseChain exists is because of the S-load function, because of HEX. Like Richard said before, that HEX is his baby, HEX is his number one. And the only reason that PulseChain even is going to exist is because of HEX, because HEX had a problem with its staking. And on PulseChain, it's going to be called HEX, whereas this, you know, this is going to be called EHEX. And if you were using, you know, ETHW HEX, then maybe that's ETHW HEX. I don't know. You know, we haven't figured out a denomination for that yet. But I see it the same way. You get the coins, you get USDC, you dump it for what you want: Pulse, PulseX, fiat, liquid loans, like loan token, whatever, you know, something that has a community that's going over there. So, you know, we're seeing, you know, Hexicans playing a lot. For me, the optimal play is what you saw a lot of people doing was like go on like right before, like minutes before the merge, you go on to Aave, you borrow a bunch of ETH, right? And then you pay it back. You've now got the fork. So then, you know, ETHW is what really had the liquidity on the exchanges or whatever. So you even could have, you know, went to an exchange that was trading like ETHW futures and stuff like that. It was up to like, I think 5% of an ETH. I think last I checked, it was like around 1% or something now. So it's gone down quite a bit, but you know, that's where the liquidity is. So for example, if somebody was to have a bunch of USDC, right? And the fork happens for PulseChain, and they sell it for Chainlink. Maybe they're in the Chainlink community and they get a shit ton of Chainlink. Well, it doesn't matter if the Chainlink community is not coming to PulseChain and not going to use the contract over there, and like they're not going to speculate. People aren't going to bridge money to PulseChain to buy Chainlink. Then you were better off buying Pulse, because Pulse is going to have the most liquidity, selling the Pulse if you didn't want to participate in PulseChain, right? And then buying Link on Ethereum, because that's the community you want. So we're seeing a lot of Hexicans that are, you know, going over there and they're buying a whole bunch of HEX, and that's all fine. I mean, like Alex put the front end and stuff like that. People are playing. Some people told me they're like, well, I'm just ratio trading and it's just, you know, it's fun. And I think that's fine. But I think that, you know, if we're going to, what I don't want to see is people like advocating to go and put real money into the ETHW chain to buy HEX over there when HEX is already down over 90% here. You know, Richard Hart is not saying to go buy, you know, HEX on these other chains. He's saying buy it now. And the difference with buying HEX now on the main chain is that that's the chain that's going to get copied. So if you were to bridge money to ETHW to buy HEX, you're not going to get a copy on PulseChain. And who knows? Like, to me, I think that the PulseChain version is going to do well because that's HEX. That is HEX now. And the ETH HEX is ETH HEX. So I think that the community is going over there. There's going to be more liquidity over there. I think that there's going to be more, you know, things going on, people borrowing and loaning HEX on fiat and stuff like that. So to me, that is, you know, and buying HEX now is buying HEX on the Pulse chain. So that's kind of where I stand with it. If people want to play around and stuff like that, like, you know, that's fine. There may be tax consequences for doing so. So, you know, think about that too. You don't necessarily want to like increase your tax burden for just like playing around on a chain. But yeah, I mean, you know, my main thing is like, I don't want people advocating to go and put their money on this other chain. Then there was also things like there were so many Hexicans that don't know a lot about crypto, and they didn't know about like replay attacks and, you know, like stuff like that, like other attack vectors. So some people were wise in the sense to say like, hey, like let's like slow up a bit. This isn't the same thing. It's, you know, pretty much like anonymous devs. There, you know, there's been some like inconsistencies, not like a, you know, well-oiled machine. And you know, to me, the optimum play was to sell ETH to get money. And then if you did that, right, if you had a bunch of HEX, if you had a bunch of USDC, you could have potentially sold it for ETH, sold ETH on an exchange, and then bought HEX on this chain at a 90-something% discount. To me, that's much better than having like 2 billion HEX on ETH. I think that's, you know, the gist of my, you know, argument.
Big K.
I agree with a lot of that. If you're trying to extract, like, PulseChain's big things that it has going for it, besides like ETH POW doesn't, any of the communities that are on Ethereum as is right now, all the developers, all the protocols that are there, I mean, what's their incentive to stay on the POW chain? Like, they're gonna do double work for two different chains now? Like, that's part of the incentive of Pulse, is that we're going to have not only that system state for everyone to play with, but a whole other ecosystem of tools and things that are ready to launch, you know, ready to go, that like people want and are going to be, you know, supported on day one. So like our narrative of, you know, we'd like to save the coins that, you know, that want to come over for cheaper, you know, you know, sure, maybe some ETH PO proof of work could pull some of those people away, because I mean, it's cheaper to play around on it. But for how like it's going to fill up just the same, whereas we're going to be faster and have more space. So,
but if that's the argument, why wouldn't you just, if you're a project that wanted cheaper fees, why wouldn't you go on Optimism, right?
Yeah.
Where there's much more of a community, and you're still burning. If you're an Ethereum, like an Ethereumite, if you believe in Ethereum, you have a big bag of Ethereum. Why wouldn't you do that? Because ETH or, you know, layer 2 is still burning the underlying asset, which is Ethereum. ETHW does nothing for Ethereum. People buying ETHW doesn't pump Ethereum.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like the developer. I mean, like, look at like I've had several people ask me in this that I've been talking to, ask me, well, why doesn't everyone just go to Ethereum Classic? And you're like, well, did you like using Ethereum like 2 years ago? Like 3 years ago, and there was like no tools, and you had to use like a Mu, you know, web wallet and shit, you know, like, was that cool? Was that super fun? Because that's the kind of shit you have to deal with over there, and like nobody's going to fix anything for you if it breaks, you know. So like, and similar things going to happen with this chain, if, you know, unless they can pull a bunch of amazing developers with them as well that have. But like, I just don't see that happening when their biggest claim is that like now 1 million people that mine, you know, on their graphics cards can extract money from here. You know, that's their number one selling point, you know. So I'm not, like I said, I don't, you know, what sticks around in crypto too is also impressive, you know. So like I mean,
Bitcoin Diamond's still around, right? So
that's what I'm saying. There's still a very.
But would you buy Bitcoin Diamond? Would you tell anybody to buy Bitcoin Diamond? Hell no.
No. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true, and that's very true. So I mean, that's I mean, it's like, I don't think it's gonna not. I mean, it'll be around, but that doesn't mean it's like it's worth anyone's time. You know, what development is going on in there, I'm not confident on. I mean, I was in the Telegram group looking through stuff before it all happened, you know, a bit, and like I'm honestly half surprised that they were able to get it off, because like they're having, like, I mean, I'm talking days before, they were having serious conflicts with like syncing the chain up, and like they like most of the miners weren't on the right, like couldn't like validate, you know, transactions. I really didn't like, when I went in there, I was like, this looks like a dumpster fire. I mean, there's like the American miners talking to a bunch of, you know, foreign folks that are like the language barrier that was going on there was difficult in itself. So like I'm impressed that they got it off. You know, I was like, that's and it's not without. I mean, I've played around, and it's not without issues as well. You know, there's issues adding coins, issues with, you know, people getting on the chain, everything. So I mean, it's not. And
then you gotta trust the bridges too, right? That they
well, that's the thing. And there's already faucets taking people's money and stuff, you know, like, and then you've got this worry of like, if you if you accepted one contract, I mean, could they have also been accepting a contract that like on Ethereum side too or something else?
So
They're super dangerous.
Big K, you understand that the communication, well, you went over there and you're like, oh, look at this communication. It's literally better than the communication between all the protocols and the validators on PulseChain because there's zero communication with Richard's devs. Zero. So all these narratives that you're giving are actually like everybody outside our community is looking at PulseChain and saying the exact same things that we're saying about ETH. We need to understand that.
I mean, I can understand where some people might be I mean, there's definitely some people saying that similar things, you know, or what's the point, you know, or claiming that ETH POW does the things that Pulse is going to do. And like, I find that there's several important points that are still super intact, you know? So like, I don't believe that entirely. And like, like I said, I think that you know, I do agree though, that they're probably, there might be able to be more, you know, coherency between the teams, but I mean like it's a lot different between like a day before launch and like we still don't know when launches, if we have something ready for everyone to, you know, when we're launching exactly.
So would you say that an ETH POW team having at least some communication with all the miners and spooling things up in a matter of 18 hours is quite impressive?
Yeah.
Compared to like maybe over a year in zero communication on PulseChain. Now, I'm not saying, listen, PulseChain I'm super, super bullish about. But we have to be careful, like, saying that what they've done, which is quite impressive, is like shit, because it is impressive.
I didn't. My issue is like I don't know who these miners are, but like it was always obvious. I always knew that they were going to fork the chain. Anybody who was in Ethereum knew that the miners were going to fork the chain.
That ran ETH. So if you think that the security, if you like,
okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. I know ETH. I've known ETH miners, and they, you know, they're in it for the money. They're in it to dump. And
so are our validators. What's
okay, but no, that okay. I know Hodl Dog. I know, and he does not care about the money at all because I've offered to give him money
at the moment.
I've offered to help him, and he doesn't care. So it's not. So it's not about the money for him. It's, and even David Feeder is the same thing. So now whether you have a validator and you care about the money, that's one thing.
Miners
but if you're a validator,
they're not making very much money either.
If you're a validator and you care about the money, then you're in the wrong business because PulseChain's not going to make money for the first couple of years.
And neither is ETH for those miners. It's the same exact narrative.
The difference is
dirt cheap over there that they're not making much money.
That, well, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. I don't know. I don't personally know these miners, so I don't know how long they're going to play the game for. But you know, many people have said that like it's definitely in, like, from a security point, it's in danger. Whereas I've talked to validators on PulseChain, and I know that they're willing to operate. Are you going to keep talking over me? Are you going to let me talk? You're going to keep talking over me. You're going to let me talk. I'll let you talk afterwards, but us talking at the same time is pointless.
Yeah, gents, let's keep it one at a time. Let Wendy's make his point. And Jesse,
yeah, you can talk after. You just
with 60% of the hash power with one group.
Okay, whatever.
All right.
Say what you're going to say. Go ahead, talk. You got a lot to say. Go talk.
Yeah, look, 60% of the hash power of ETH 2.0 is with one single group. It is completely centralized. So there's not even an argument about security between those two chains, between ETH and
you're saying did you say the proof of stake or proof of work?
Yes. All the hash powers with 60% of it's with one single group. You're
talking about like Lido?
Lido and Coinbase are like, I think I was just reading.
The difference with Lido is Lido has 30 validators themselves. Like they have, it's all like a derivative play, but like they're constantly adding more validators every single day. So like everybody is essentially put their money in together, and then they're divvying it out to validators because of the slashing thing. So it's not. So just like if you say 30% or 60% of the ETH is in Lido, like making it sound like it's one pool is not exactly the case, because that ETH is like divided across many validators.
So you're yelling about security, but we have middlemen and counterparty, and you're okay with it.
Well, for one, it's a little bit different, but I do see the issues with proof of stake. But again, it's just, it's growing pains, right? Like we literally just switched to proof of stake in one day, and ETH has grown over the course of, how many years now, since 2015. So I think it'll find its stride. I think like as time goes on, it'll be easier for people to set up validators on Raspberry Pis and all that stuff. And I mean, I plan to do that.
Can I take it a little bit different here?
Go for it.
All right.
Please.
As far as I'm going to bring it back to HEX and stuff, because I know some folks, I keep getting this question, Randy, what do I do about my ETH proof of work HEX? Don't do shit. Wait till the dust settles, folks. Just let it relax. I mean, there's people that are really good with the tech and they can handle this stuff. But 99% of us are dumb. I'm dumb. I'm sitting back and letting this stuff happen. And maybe 6 months, it's worth something. It's worth my time to go in and extrapolate some money or whatever word that we can use, harvest some money. Right now, I'm just going to let it ride, see what happens.
I mean, it's traditionally been the safest play with any of the Bitcoin forks or anything else going on. I mean, there's more, cost-effective plays. Sure, Richard loves to just talk about how he told people to sell and it was at the optimum point, But like, I mean, if you don't know what to do, then holding on to all of them in case is probably better.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that for sure.
No.
So regarding HEX over there, so first off, security, it's a big deal. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything at all. I agree 100%. It does happen to be the world's largest airdrop so far. Full system state copy. Everything that you had over on ETH is over there. If you know how to get over there, there are on-ramps and off-ramps, and there are swapping platforms. And HEX does exactly what it was coded to do over there as it does on the ETH mainnet. So we do want to see HEX outperform everything else on whatever chain that it resides on. If ETHW survives and they don't just flip the switch and turn it off, I think the narrative should always be, look at HEX. It happens to perform good on every single chain that it resides on. You can't remove it. The code is deployed. Now, if we start telling the community, we don't really like that chain because it's old, it's proof of work, even though it is faster and cheaper than ETH mainnet, okay, then we're basically saying we want to see that chart underperform compared to everything else. We just want to see everyone extract as much value as possible. But when that happens, people will vulture off of that opportunity and say, oh, look, when I stake over there, I can buy a little bit of ETHW, I can turn that into HEX, and I can stake it and get massive, massive yield on my stakes because the broader community in HEX told everybody to run away, and I decided to stay there. There's nothing we can do about HEX. It exists over there. It will continue to function as it always has. It's on y'all if you're going to use your free copies and do something with that or not do something with that.
Jesse, they're already staked, right? We don't have to do anything. Our stakes are still the same, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have anything to do for a long freaking time.
Well, people have staking ladders. People have copies of stable coins that they are going to zero very, very fast over there. But there were arbitrage opportunities yesterday for people who knew about them to jump back and forth from an exchange into stablecoin into HEX and literally get millions upon millions of HEX. And now those people are staked up through icosa.app.pro and are earning like yield that only the OGs would have dreamt of over, on the ETH mainnet. It will continue to function. People are staked up over there. People will go over there when their stakes end and they'll see, oh, I got to end my stake over here too. And it can't die. It will survive in some degree or fashion.
I mean, I do agree that it's like I said, there's with some part of it not dying in the sense that like, I know miners, I know how they feel about things. And like some of them are super like are antithetical to this proof of staking shit, and they have a whole list of reasons why. I'm gonna go through them all, and some of them have some validity in what we're seeing with the centralization idea or whatever, that people are bringing up. Like I'm not disagreeing with any of that. So like because of that, I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying I'm not trying to get into semantics battle about the mining aspect of it. I am trying to say that that those people are going to stay pretty steadfast to their beliefs. So like there will be a community that supports that chain, whether or not it's because they are going to mine it to the ground or it's because they actually believe that chain should run. And like there's the part of me that got into crypto for the Monero initially, that understands that like some of the power of crypto was that it's like Richard talks about like it as a marketing tool of like the freemium onboard, but it is deeper than that. And that like I turned on my graphics card, I mined some coins to some address, and like ain't nobody know who's that address or how those coins got there or any of that shit. And like nobody deserves to know. And like unless I touch an exchange with them or pay somebody with them, like that is off the books shit, And like whatever you want to like say about that, that is a tool of finance that I thrive in the darkness too. So like I understand what it takes to live in that world as well, and I think that those tools should exist. So I mean, like for better or worse, I think that shit will still stick around. I mean, like
HEX is 93 cents over there right now. Now liquidity.
Yes,
is low.
Whoa. That is a loaded statement because it is not 93 cents. That is not true at all. It is 93 cents. It is worth 0.93 of a USDC, which is worth nothing, which is worth 0.000.
But it's swappable.
No. I mean, it's like yes, but you're lying about the value. It's not that value. You can swap.
You don't have to redeem it. You have to swap it for ETH and send that to an exchange.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you get 97 cents for it.
And that's fine.
97 cents for it.
Jesse,
you're getting 0.0001 of at most, and it's probably a little bit lower than that because of the insane slippage you're going to see. So like, you're not getting 97 cents. You're getting multiple zeros with a one after it. Probably 3 or 4. I think it's 3 zeros, maybe 4 right now is what the cost of like actual price of HEX is, because like that's what the actual price of USDC is, like 0.000025. And so like HEX is trading at 97 cents. Okay, so then it's 0.0002. It's very, very low price. It's not actually, and the liquidity, if you go and try and buy more than $3,000 worth or $5,000 worth, you're going to send the price up 75%. So like,
my point was that if you could extract even $1,000 from ETH and buy Pulse or HEX down, that's down
a better play.
That's a better and it goes up 100x, and then you have it on 2 chains now. That's better than having the ETH.
So listen,
that's all I'm saying.
Because I still think that
I highly suggest you at least look at the chain and play around. I am up 250x from before this stream. And now the price is at 93 cents. You can ratio trade it back into stable coins and back into ETH and extract that to an exchange. I'm probably up even further than that now. I'm telling you that
I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that you're. We all have HEX on that chain. So everyone that has HEX on that chain is up, infinity in that chain because we got it for fucking free. So it. I get that. But like it's still very difficult to extract in any sort of large quantity, and like if you start putting money into it, then that money will evaporate much quicker than you think. That's the way. That's the truth of it. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible to pull money out, but like if you're doing it, then other people are doing it and not caring about the actual like.
Listen, it takes less.
I love to see how many 555 stakes are going on that chain versus Ethereum right now.
It takes less than 60 seconds to get money off back onto an exchange, and then from there send it to Coinbase. It's so simple. There's so many. There are multiple exchanges. MECX is one of them. BitTrue is another one that carry ETH, let you purchase it, let you swap it, and send it off. Like, yes, there's no bridges between chains right now, but there's still on and off ramp.
That's what I said to do. Right now. That's literally what I said to do.
Yeah. I'm not saying if you can extract value, I'm not saying not to extract it. I'm
For
just
sure.
saying that like be very careful of putting value into this system and expecting to appreciate to much higher degrees. Now, if you have
100%.
something in the system and you can, like I said, I mean, yeah, sure. The first thing I did as soon as it went live was I dumped all the stables that I had immediately, for sure. And like that, I extracted value, of course, but like that doesn't mean that I'm like saying that I'm going to put money into this or that I think it's a good long-term play.
I hope that you all.
I'm not saying that if somebody has a way to make the money
from there, and all your stakes, I will continue to stay staked up, and my yield will go up over there. You will see the yield balance out between all three chains: PulseChain, Ethereum, and ETH. You're just
that would be amazing. I mean,
people are always going to go back and forth to wherever the greatest yield is for staking.
I mean, I did speculate that before that, like I said, with Pulse and Ethereum, that like I don't think Ethereum's like HEX will die. I think it'll, depending on what ratios there are in value, there's still going to be some. But I mean, I do agree that there's splitting when you split, you've got a lot of splitting of the communities of people's inputs, into the system at this point in time, where there'd be potentially three different hexes, multiple coins on PulseChain, all the other products that are coming out. I mean, it's a lot. I'm not saying that it can't be done. It will be done, but doing it on three chains is also like seems, and like in a place that like we've already dealt with a hostile environment where like with the Ethereum, developers raising a load on us. So like expecting that another project that is not under our doesn't have our best interest at mind is going to somehow be better for us, or we like any I found that in crypto you have this like and just in general you have this like limited amount of brain space that I can like put at any of this shit, even if I have infinite fucking dollars. Like I just can only think about so much. Like nobody can think about 40 coins. That's like a noob mistake, is to like invest into like so many different things that like, and then you fucking just checking the charts is got you, it's spinning, so like that I mean, I just don't find that there's going to be value in paying that much attention to all these different places. I mean, I
think people's value is like better spent doing like messing with like the PulseChain testnet and trying out liquid loans, trying out fiat, and messing around on PulseX, do limit orders. Like I think their time's better spent doing that. Now, obviously, if you have really big bags and you can extract like some kind of value, then go for it. And if you're bored and you've already done all that stuff and you want to like mess around on the ETH chain, like go for it. I don't know. I don't see a big.
Guys, this is just like there's a lot of people that missed out on the early days of Bitcoin. I mean, I was one of them. I didn't really get serious until 2014, even though I knew everything about it in 2011. Then it was 2017. You guys complained that you missed out in 2017. Now, I'm not talking about the panel. I'm talking about folks in chat and stuff, And then you guys complained that you missed out on, ETH POW. That's probably going to be a complaint in the coming months, right? Well, you do have your next chance. Next chance is PulseChain. So just prepare, get educated, get ready for it. I know all my ETH friends, they're ready for the ETH POW fork. I wasn't, because I didn't care about it. I have my sights set on PulseChain. So, just get your ducks in order and be ready for when it happens, guys. Don't worry, and don't say, "Oh, I wish I coulda, woulda." I mean, Jesse was ready. The other of us, we just weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
we're gonna learn a lot from this fork. That's gonna help us understand PulseChain fork a little bit more.
That I can agree with.
And PulseChain fork,
sure.
Listen, I'm extremely bullish about it. For we have tons of protocols launching on it. Now, some are shit, but there's at least 10 or 15 that are actually really impressive things. I didn't come on here to shill liquid loans, but obviously the testnet is up and running. You can, I don't think anyone will argue how beautiful that protocol is.
It looks great.
The UI looks good. I have a question though. Like with one of the SAC addresses, I was like looking, and it said that the coins were like vested over like every 3 months over 16 months. If you didn't put the like dot, like with the change, wasn't it supposed to just be all available?
If you put a .01, that would vest for 1 month.
Well, it's like it's every 3 months for like 16, like it's spread out. Like it's not actually like it's like a little bit here, a little bit there. But
so you could use the same address and just do multiple multiple sacks from that same address with different vesting periods of each one of those cents.
But like this person didn't, and he said that it's like every 3 months. Like he showed me a screenshot. He's like, I just sent like a flat dollar amount.
That's unusual. Did he?
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
there
have
was
him
a
talk to me,
ticketing.
but-
There was a ticketing system
Mhm.
that's now closed for that. But I'm sure if he reaches out, they'll give him an explanation of why that is.
Okay. But the tokens, like right now, the like loan tokens, it's not like based on like who sacrificed and everything, right? It's just like the faucet,
Nope.
and then people are
So
buying.
you can there's a few things you can do. You can just use your pulse and then yourself
Mhm.
some USDL, or you can just buy some USDL or loan token and go participate with those. Or
Do we know when that's going to be up? Like where people are going to be able to see their stuff and like have their loan auto staked and see what like the APY.
yeah,
and
not
all
till
that?
mainnet.
Okay.
The actual because here's what would have been the problem because people are vested out.
Mhm.
There would have been people that didn't get anything at all, and like, oh, you got to wait 2 years to play on testnet. So instead, they
Gotcha.
just fired up a
Just did a
faucet.
faucet.
You can get
Okay.
10 free loan tokens a day. Or if you want a bigger position, just use some of your Pulse, mint some USDL, and earn some
Yeah,
of that or
that's what
buy
I
some
did.
of that.
There you go. Guys, I just said in the private chat, my battery is like getting killed here, and this is a great discussion, so I don't want to just abandon it. I can be back at HQ shortly, but I don't mean to, swat the hornet's nest and run away, but I do. Um, so we
Sun's
had
getting ready to set on you.
we had we had an interesting discussion. I think this is very relevant in terms of how many coins or protocols are out there and its effect on the hex price, because there's so much stuff out there now. We got Hedron, we got Maxi, and hex is, I was on stream literally I think last week on Wake Up Hex, and I was like, and it held true up until I jinxed myself, and I was like, if Bitcoin kind of goes up short term, hex is going to follow. And that was pretty much the end of the near term correlation there. And hex has gone down, I think, percentage wise a lot more. But I guess where I started is the thinking that a lot of these coins like a Hedron, Maxi, are they taking away buying pressure overall in the long term? And it's not measurable like, oh, this was the
No.
day, but is it just
No.
sucking life away slowly from hex? Because this was a passionate discussion in the green room, and I guess I'll just swat the hornet's nest and I'll leave and I'll be back.
I think it
shortly.
depends. I think it depends. If people are paying like crazy high premiums, then yes. If they're paying like the true value maybe of a T-share, then no. So it just depends. Like, right, like if let's just say Maxi was at $100 and people are putting 100,000 into that, the price would no doubtably do much better if they threw $100,000 into hex, right? So it just depends on like how crazy the premium gets. I think some people don't actually like pay attention. So like if you were to think about like Maxi, for example, you say, okay, it has this many T shares. You got the bigger pays better bonus. It should be getting this amount of APY. So if you're buying at this X price, like the price today, you would have to wait 2 years before the APY would pay you up until what the current price is. I don't think that like a general investor is like looking into that too much, but it's something you need to look at when you go into the derivatives. But I think overall, especially like Hedron and Icosa, I really like that because, when people go to buy Icosa, they essentially are, buying hex off the market, creating an HSI, locking it up, doing it 5555, and that's gone, for a while. And to buy that, you can see that the price of Icosa is like kind of generally tracking the price of hex with, I think, like the added like T-share algorithm in there, like it ratchets up a little bit based on the T-share going up. And I mean, that's been spot on. I mean, I've been looking at that for a while. Now, of course, we're gonna have to see what that happens over the course of a year. But I will say, like, since it happened, I was looking at like, the Hedron whale bot, and every single day you're seeing, Quattro Cinco stakes, and that wasn't really happening to that extent before. So that's a good thing. But again, like the other derivatives, I think it just depends on like how high the premium gets. Like people shouldn't blindly buy Maxi irregardless of price. That's where I'm at.
The price, okay, there are at least 3 protocols that were specifically designed to lock up either Pulse or Hex, so that people lock it up so they don't have to sell it. And it's either some sort of derivative play or it's some sort of collateralization play so that the original assets that we like do not get sold. You're seeing on testnet, at least with liquid loans, there's like 500 over, or maybe it's over now, over 500 million play dollars worth of Pulse is now vaulted, collateralized, and nobody's selling that on testnet now. And the price has gone up by like 2 pennies since the launch of liquid loans. You can easily see that liquid loans did that to the price. Hedron, I think, has a lot of the similar functions where it just gets people to no longer sell it. Now, there are other protocols out there that are shitcoins that don't have any tie back to Pulse or Hex other than taking money away from it. And you could also argue about, somebody asked about the sacrifices. Well, many of these protocols, yes, there were sacrifices. Some of them accepted Hex, and those people have not sold any Hex. Others didn't even accept Hex at all. And when you look on chain, you'll see that most of the money that was sent in was not because people were selling Hex off and then sending it to a sacrifice address. People happen to have other assets besides Hex in the community. Randy's in a lot of things. I happen to be in a lot of things. I'm not a Hex maxi per se, although I do love it. And I think there's a lot of people like that in the community that sent funds other than Hex to sacrifice stuff. So we can't blame the price of Hex on anything other than it would be nice to get a little more adoption and get out of this bear market, and we'll see it go back up.
We must be patient.
Well, I mean, and everybody will always blame. There's always going to be a scapegoat, but bear markets are bear markets. Like, you know, when liquidity's drying up, people get scared. It's an emotional time. Like, people sell. So even if people did sell Hex to participate in an ICO or something like that, that's not the reason that Hex is where it's at now. It's just everything's down like roughly the same amount. It just is what it is.
Yeah, and you just got to get calluses, right, and say this isn't going to bother me. The more bear markets you guys go through, the more calloused you get. And I cannot believe that I could sit here and not be crying when I'm going from a shit ton of money. It's down 90%. So yeah. It doesn't even bother me. I'm like, my wife bothers her a little bit more when she actually looks at the numbers because she just sees the number, right? But she doesn't. She's not. They don't seem to understand the future of what's coming. So I'm like, look, just hold on.
My buddy's wife called him last night drunk and was like, shout out if you're listening. He might be listening right now. But she was like, when is he going to release PulseChain? I don't think it's going to happen. He's like, yo, calm down.
Yeah,
Anna's the same way. Anna's the same way. She's like, when's this going to happen? You told me last year it was supposed to happen. I'm like, oh, look. Even my wife's coming at me, not just you guys, not just the chat.
No, my wife's pretty cool about it. She's like, I figured it wasn't doing well considering that you used to show me that staker app a lot more often.
Yeah,
you haven't broken that one out recently. I was like, yeah.
Wives are a good metric.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, you're seeing a lot of, like, I've seen it like in comments on YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like, you know, this is the first bear market for a good portion of the community, right? And you're seeing people, you know, really, really hurt. And I've seen people say, you know, like the typical stuff, right? Like, all right, I'm done buying now until the uptrend, you know? And it's like, man, that's how you know you're getting there, right? Like when people feel like they're stretched to capacity and they can't, you know, bear any more pain, that's when you know you're almost there. You're getting really, really close. So, you know, what I think is, like, if Richard's telling his best friends like it's a good opportunity to buy, it's probably a pretty good opportunity to buy. Now, you could say, you know, do what he does, not what he says. So when he says like I'm in, you know, maybe then you could wait. It really just depends. I mean, there are, you know, breakout traders who wait, you know, and they're just like, I don't want to go through like the pain of the bear market, so they hold cash, you know, in the bull market, they get their cash position and they just wait, and they wait for the downtrend, the sloping downtrending line to be broken and to, you know, for it to be in a confirmed uptrend. And then you're like, okay, I'm closer to the bull now than to the, you know, to the next top than the previous top. So I mean, that's a way to do it too. But I think like anybody who's been in crypto a long time will say like DCAing, especially if you dynamically do it and you do it harder, as the chart goes down more, it's just the better thing to do because crypto's so volatile. You have like these massive wicks up. And so what if somebody, when the price was like up to like 25K, like a couple weeks ago, if they just went all in there, if they were just DCAing, maybe they've been DCAing for months. They bought 17, they bought 18, they bought 19, they bought some at 25. Now they're buying some, back down at 19, and maybe we go lower, right? And it looks like we could go lower. So that to me is the best strategy, especially if it's your first cycle and you've not ever looked at a chart before, HEX or crypto in general. You never even looked at like stock charts. DCA is probably your best friend.
Yeah.
Freedom 35 has a comment I'd like to respond to. He says buying HEX to get these other tokens is great, but people are buying these other coins and they're forgoing HEX. That might be true of some things. I'd like to specifically comment about that loan token that's part of liquid loans. You can't really buy it. I mean, there is such thin liquidity because nobody's willing to sell it. So you could put a little money and buy it, but
because the APY
really,
is so high.
The only way to get it is one, lock up some Pulse and go through the system, get some USDL and earn it. Or that's how you get it, right? Or maybe you get a free airdrop, right? When this thing goes live. And a lot of people are proving on testnet and through strategies that they've built that these free coins that you're earning by participating in the system or through a free airdrop are going straight back into Pulse or straight back into HEX and just buying the price up and up and up. You're seeing that on testnet. So it's an interesting narrative. There are certainly some protocols that extract value, but there are a handful of protocols that literally bring value into PulseChain.
Yep. I mean, I did more Quattro Cinco stakes this year than probably like in a long time, specifically for Icosa. So that was one of the arguments I was getting in with Johnny because he said it was like, just a leech in the system. I was like, yo, I bought millions and millions and millions and millions of HEX and staked it 5555 and sacrificed it to the Icosa contract. Like that shit's not coming out for many, many years.
That's baller mode right there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go that big. Shit.
Oh, dude, I did. I have a big position, but
I think I did like 100,000 HEX in total with 4 stakes. Yeah.
But like I'm seeing the value because like the Hedron is locked for a while, but I think that as time goes on, people are going to still do the HSIs and everything like that. And I mean, I just plan to use the Hedron to buy more T-shares back and stuff. So I think it's a pretty cool system, and the way Alex did it, especially I love the Watsas. I think that's so cool where it's like, a game of last man standing, and it's like who has the diamond hands, and you're seeing people. I think somebody burned like $1,000 worth yesterday and stuff, and so it's like you're just getting more and more of the shares. It's almost like staking HEX like indefinitely, right? And it's like, okay, who wants to cash out the yield? And when you cash out the yield, you can't get back in. Like imagine that, right? So it's like it's kind of this similar game theory, to HEX, but it's like who has the real diamond hands? So I think that's pretty cool.
I got a pretty good story for this week. I have a billionaire friend who's got a vineyard up in Northern California, a famous hedge fund owner from the 80s. His son lives here in Panama. He used to work for me. And he reached out to me the other day and said, Randy, I want to buy some HEX. I'm sending my son over. He's gonna get some HEX. So he came over, set up his computer. We did the Uniswap thing, bought some HEX for him, and now they've got it. And now he's asking me about Icosa. He's asking me about Hedron.
Like, was he like in the ecosystem? Like, how did he find out about that?
He follows the father follows me on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So he sees everything I do on Twitter, and plus he's a friend. He comes to Panama like every 3 or 4 months, we go out to dinner and do those kind of things. But I never expected them to go baller mode and come in and just buy a bunch of HEX. So this is their second purchase in just a couple months, and I'm sure they're going to do more. I'm not talking a ton of money. I'm talking like 5, 6, 10 grand at a time. And it's
dip their toes in. I mean, that's what people will do. And it's funny because you see people get the most scared in the depths of the bear market. And I mean, who knows, we could have another year of pain, right? I don't know, like it's up to stuff that I don't control, right? So who really knows how long this will go on for? What I do know is that everyone, and I mean everyone, is going to regret not buying more near that bottom in hindsight, because hindsight's always 2020, and you're always going to wish like, oh my God, I had this extra computer, I could have sold it. Like that could have been a house. It's always, I mean, when you've been in crypto, these things, right? Like you think about like when HEX was at the lows and you're like, man, I could have done more. Did I need a second car? I didn't need a second car, right?
My followers know that the new Touareg that we just bought, the Volkswagen Touareg.
Yeah, nice.
If you're in the US, most people don't know what that truck is, but I got a European model and fully loaded R line. And I think with shipping and everything, it was about 93 and 94,000. That stake that I had staked only cost me $400 from back in 2020. So,
see, you need to do a video like what Grant Stephan would do, where he says like, I got this Tesla for $100. You just say, I got this $90,000 car for $400. That is a huge clickbait thing. And, we share it throughout the community. That could get going, and it's a good advertising.
All right, I'll do it. I got to get permission.
That's a good headline.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That'll get,
because everyone's like, wait, is this for real? Is this clickbait, or like, did this really, and it is a little clickbaity, but it's true. You really did put $400 in, and
it was a lot more than that. There was like 140K. It wasn't a 400.
Oh yeah.
And the rest I used for sacks and all kinds of stuff back in 2020. But yeah,
it would have been a better video if you got a Lamborghini, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's unnecessary.
I'm too big for a Lamborghini. I'd be one of those guys that have to roll out of the car
down there anyway. You don't want that, the flashiness.
No, my buddy, the Ethereum whale that lives here, he just sold his Ferrari. He said it's too. The robes there's nowhere he can open it up, and too many bumps. So
that's how it is here. That's how it is here too. I'm like, absolutely. Man, just better to have like an SUV or something, like a comfortable SUV, and
get the new Pura Sangre that they have, the Pura Sangre, whatever it is for Ferrari. Did you guys see that yet?
I have seen that. Yeah, that thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. I really like the Urus. I've driven the Urus, and that thing is amazing. I think it looks beautiful. It has all the sounds, like it does the burbles. If you like give it a little bit of gas, it'll be like plop 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 plop.
But it's my truck. It's my Touareg. The Touareg is the Urus. It's just the same platform, different engine. Nice. And looks a little bit wilder, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're all about the same. Cool, guys. Yeah, the guys gave me a great idea. That's cool. But I'll get it done I'll get somebody that's really good with video to do it.
Yeah, and then you could put it on TikTok too, right? And
absolutely,
like a short version and stuff like that. And it's kind of wild. Like I feel like I'm a boomer a little bit, but like I feel like I'm too old for TikTok. I'm like, to learn it and do all that stuff. I'm like, I have no idea how people do all the
their SEO.
Take a class or something.
Look, the SEO on TikTok is just as good as YouTube's. So
I've seen people say that like they just made an account and they're getting like thousands of views and stuff like that. So whether it's like more directed and stuff, because I know like YouTube kind of like with crypto and stuff like that, it kind of like will target the more finance, people who are like looking for finance. I don't know how TikTok does their algorithm, but it is interesting.
Yep.
He's back.
There he is.
I'm here. How was it, gents?
Good.
We made it through without any blood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I see.
Are you disappointed?
Everybody's still standing, so or sitting. Present.
We try to minimize friendly fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you managed all right then?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Wow, we got 287 viewers, guys. Wow.
I know. We are.
Dang.
This is good chat, and I missed the past probably like 10 minutes of it, which I apologize for, just battery and technical issues. But this is awesome, guys. Not to step on anything that may have been talked about while I was out. Did we talk about just in the topics list, like the perpetuals with Maxi? We got like a little over a week left.
Talked a little bit about it.
How that's
the only thing I would say is I really like Maxi. People should think about some of the other ones, because I think with some of the other ones you're giving up 5% of the bigger pays better bonus, and that really was the whole reason to pool together, right? Was to maximize that bigger pays better bonus. Maxi also gets the Hedron, and we've seen what Hedron can do. It can go up many X's. And if you're thinking about something for the long term, right? If you're thinking of 5, 7, 10-year stake, what can Hedron do in that time? Could it 1000x? Could it do more? So, that's one thing I would say, be careful of if you're thinking about that, because the Hedron could go up, quite substantially. But, other than that, I think it's a cool thing. And the other thing I should add is that, as we've seen, sometimes people will front run, like we talked about before with whale stakes. So if the thing with a whale is that, like, let's say they have a $10 million stake ending. Okay. Maybe they sell $1 million or $2 million because, they have other money, and it's like, you don't need, what do you need 10 million liquid for? Right. So they might like restake the rest. If you have 10,000 people that are accessing 10 million, there's a high likelihood that the dumpage is going to be worse. So you might actually have a higher ROI staking solo and before those pools empty. And then after they do it in restake, you could, buy the bottom, buy after the dip, maybe get 20-30% more, even if it's just a little dip, right? That could be 20-30% more HEX that you get, and then restake. So something to consider at least.
Yeah, and
and are they going to make their 150 million for each one of those, right?
Well, that was my next question is, like, I know I bring this up like the past couple of weeks with Big K because we speculated a couple of months ago on it, and it was like his initial thought, and I was getting behind it, hey, we could, 4 pools of 150 million would be awesome. I had my doubts, but he and I think DFed were bullish on it. What are we at now? I haven't checked. Are we close to like 20 each?
Me?
No,
Desi is obviously the big one.
No, I mean, I was like, it's going to be tough to fill up 4 pools. That was what I'm pretty sure is what I said. I speculated that at least one of them wouldn't fill up, but but they're definitely not, we're not all full. I mean, that was what I felt like we were saying that a couple weeks ago, where we were like, it'll be awesome if they do. It would be great to see 600 million HEX off market like that, but that's a lot of HEX to scrounge up at this depth.
It would make more sense doing more maxis, right? Because remember what I said about the premium is, like, you need to be wary of the premium. So like, if maxi gets to a certain premium, then you do another one, right? And so people aren't like overpaying so much for like a max length stake. But again, you remember, you could potentially beat the ROI of maxi just by staking before. So it is something to consider.
Have any of you guys compared the amount that have been taken off the market due to ICOSA versus maxi?
That's a good
That'd be an interesting number.
No, but it's a lot, man. I mean, it's definitely a lot.
Well, you got to figure. Well, you can kind of rough figure it out in the sense that we know it's over 40,000 T shares are going to be up for auction.
That's true.
So it's around, like, at current rates, it's like around, like, and this is if you're saying at 555 stakes. So like this is a minimal amount of value put in. That would be $11 million or so around, for all those T shares. So like that's how much ever HEX that is. Is that 150 million worth right now? I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, so I made a tweet the other day because I've been thinking about this narrative of things being rare a lot lately. There are coins that have
5.4
trillions and trillions of supply, and they still go up, 10, 20, 30,000x because nobody cares. There's also coins that have low supply that fail and go to zero. Strong Protocol that I mentioned actually burned like 98% of their supply, and the value went from $1,200 a token, like immediately down, like quickly down to like
they tried $4. A lot of stuff. Didn't they try like
touching
their own chain and everything? They tried a lot.
Right. I think that was all lies, and just stringing people
never did
along.
It?
No.
Oh.
But the only thing that prices derive from is the liquidity pool, and the rare narrative is weird. So, like the tweet I made, there's 2,100 trillion satoshis, and the value of those satoshis went up by 6.5 million x. Now you could say, well, there's only a possible 21 million Bitcoin. Okay. But there's also 2,100 trillion Satoshis in both. It's just a decimal play.
Yeah, it's just how you're counting.
So if somebody says that, like, I've heard a narrative out there that Pulse Doge is actually going to, the Pulse Dogecoin is going to do well because it's got a small supply, but really, it's just a decimal point. As the value goes up, people just start trading the fractions of it, and it just does whatever it's going to do. Low supply versus high supply doesn't have as big of an impact as people believe, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just a narrative.
It's just who has it and how many are they selling and when are they selling?
Exactly.
You know? I mean,
are more people holding than people who are selling, and what does the liquidity pool ratios look like? That's it. That's all that matters. The total supply out there in the wild doesn't matter at all, as long as more people are buying than selling.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look at like a SHIB, and what is it, trillions? I think you might have referenced that, and then, or even just traditional market speaking, people used to say, "Oh, well, Google's too expensive at like $2,000 a share or whatever it was," but it's just like the same percentage return still applies if you buy 1 unit versus now that it's split like 10 or 10 units or whatever. So I think it's just like a math equation that people fail to do sometimes in their heads. It's just like,
well, it's the same thing with stock splits, right? Stock splits are like insane.
Yeah, that's what I was
for
saying.
Stocks. Polkadot did what, like 2 splits or 1 split early on, and like the price shot up, and I'm thinking like, there's no logical way this should be happening, right? Like, and it's just mooning. Like when they like, what did they like? I think maybe they 4x the supply, or I can't remember exactly, but that thing went on a run, and you're like, wow, people, that they just want more of a thing. Like that would probably be the best thing Bitcoin could ever do, is like go to 100 million or something. People,
I remember
like,
I sold all
10 Bitcoins.
I remember I sold my Polkadot right around $8, and I said, man, this thing's not going to go much higher too soon.
Yeah.
And it went all the way to 40 or something.
Yeah. You have to look at all crypto like a pie. How big? Okay, if a particular ticker symbol is the whole pie, and you're a fatty, right? You want the whole pie, right? You want to get as much of that pie as possible. Now, that pie could be cut up into 6 pieces to begin with, or it could be cut up into, 1,000 slices to begin with. It doesn't matter. You want the most of it as possible. So, like, the total supply of it, all that matters is how much supply do you have compared to the total supply. What percentage of the total supply do you have? Now, interestingly enough, NFTs, at least 721s or whatever, are not divisible. And I'm not suggesting anybody invest in NFTs. Maybe NFT platforms is a whole nother conversation, though, right? Because that's different. But like, there are tokens, ERC 721s, that are not divisible and literally are rare because they can't be cut up into pieces. So I just wish more people thought about these things. This is like what I think about all day long, even while I sleep.
It's really interesting to see what the premium NFTs do when we get to a bottom, like the CryptoPunks and the Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that. Because, man, it was funny. I was in a Twitter space. I don't go to many Twitter spaces because it's just like the stupidity just enrages me. But one of the guys was like, man, I can't believe that like these things are going down. Like I just never thought that they would go down. And I'm like, man, how many people like told you, bro? Like you literally have a picture of a penguin and it's the size of a man. Like you could get a mansion for this. But I love my little cute penguin. Like wrecked, absolutely wrecked.
I think it was
now
like
so here's my take on NFT platforms though. Look, while I would never tell somebody to go buy a penguin, there's like artists out there, like millions of them, who are either like tattoo people who now are like excited because they can display their drawings that they do all day long on like a worldwide showcase instead of just in a notebook to their friends.
Yeah.
So they turn this art into like collections simply because they like to do it. The average price for an NFT is between $5 and $10 because they need to recoup the gas that it costs for them to mint it. They're not actually selling them because they're greedy. They want the world to see their artwork. And when you go into the Telegram pages and the Twitter spaces of these NFT places, most of those people don't care about investing, so to speak, in this artwork. They just like the particular community they're in because they like that artist. So the platforms are never going anywhere. There's always going to be more and more and more artists who are using things like Pixel Park or OpenSea or LooksRare to showcase their artwork, or Mintra, okay, to showcase their artwork. But again, investing in a particular NFT is much different than understanding that NFT platforms are useful to lots of communities.
Yeah, and we're seeing new things with the, like look at the Watsas, right? Like financial NFTs, like HSIs, like that. That's so
too.
cool.
Yep.
That's so cool. One thing I like about NFTs is I think, starving artists, right? Like I think they should be able to make, a decent amount of money. Where I get like, okay, this is ridiculous is like, like I said, the $1 million penguin or something like that. But I think like if you're an artist and you have like a gallery or something, turning an artwork into an NFT and saying like, if you burn this NFT, then you get the real art. I think that's awesome. I think that's totally cool. And, I also think that like when there was like an NFT event in New York City and they said you have to have a Bored Ape to get in. I think that's also cool. Like, because then it's like, okay, this is like showing that you're part of a community. Like what if the hexagon one, right? With the diamond one, what if we did that and said, you got to sign your NFT to get into, like this hexagon event to prove you're a hexagon. Like, I don't know.
Or
I
a
think
new
things like
country.
that are kind of cool. I think things like that are kind of cool, but it's just the spending $200 for, or even like 2,000 or 3,000 for an NFT from a famous artist that you can mint and have it on your wall. I think that's super cool. But spending 100,000, plus for a JPEG that you can't turn into anything, or I'd say like, hey, like take a step back. But yeah, I think NFTs are cool, and it's funny because I was actually talking about NFTs back in I think it must have been like around 2017 when the first ones were coming out, when CryptoKitties were coming out, and I said something like, I've been a video gamer my whole life, right? So what if there's a game like, let's just say like World of Warcraft, right? And I was playing, an ogre paladin, and I had this sword, and it was an NFT. And then years later, a game wants to do like an ode to World of Warcraft, and they say, hey, if you connect your NFT from World of Warcraft, you can have this item. So then my kid is playing like his game, and then maybe they do a thing where he's using my sword from a game that I played like many years ago. So I think there's like so many potential opportunities for what they could do, down the road. But we're just crypto's in its infancy still. Like people are figuring out all these things. So to write off NFTs entirely and just say, no fucking thanks, I think that's, a little silly.
Let me tell you another case that we're doing. I made
sorry, pardon. I'll tell the story.
Okay, so it's all right. My company that I work with, Load, they're going to be launching the NFTs for gold. So you'll have allocated, if you guys know about gold and silver, there's unallocated gold and silver, which a lot of these companies sell you. And then there's allocated gold and silver. Now the allocated means it's yours. So there'll be an allocated NFT of gold or silver in a vault, and that serial number for the NFT belongs to that stack of gold and silver. So if you want to sell it on OpenSea, then it just transfers to your wallet or transfers to another person's wallet. Instead of having your gold and silver in a huge stack with everybody else's, now you have yours separate, and it's going to be transferable. And that's one use of NFTs. I see it's going to be really powerful for housing and a bunch of other things. Like if you're going to transfer a wholesale stack of coffee, for example, it could be NFT'd and then it gets sold at the other end. NFTs are going to be used. It's going to be a huge
That's already happening on PulseChain. You know that, right? With Boxable and Pixel Park.
No, I haven't looked.
So Power City, Pixel Park NFT platform, first off, will have more tools on it than any NFT platform that's ever launched on any chain. There's also an official partnership with Boxable, tiny home company.
Oh, really?
And you can purchase an NFT tiny home and redeem that directly to the company for a tiny home that gets delivered wherever you want it. All you have to do is pay the shipping.
That's cool.
So you can create a secondary market for these homes, or you could just buy it, and when you're ready to have it delivered, you just redeem it. And maybe you got it at a better price, because you got it earlier,
Yeah, you want to open a tiny home park.
Yeah.
Then you have to go find the property for it. It might take you a year to find the property, so you buy all your tiny homes now with the NFT.
Right,
that's kind of cool.
And that's a multi-billion-dollar company. that's now partnered with Pixel Park and will be launching those NFTs exclusively on PulseChain.
Awesome.
It's pretty killer.
People have no
Big
idea
K,
what's
you were
updated on-
about to say.
I was gonna say, did anybody mint their consensus NFT from the merge? Did anybody do that? No. Well, I thought it was. I mean, I don't know if it means it was just like you get a token for being there kind of thing, and there's only 72 hours since the merge, so I think you can still do it. I think you can still do it if you want to. It's just like gas fees to pay, so you pay like $1 or whatever to mint it. Where the fuck is it? But and it was through the consensus.
There's lots of them.
I mean, currently on OpenSea, there's already like 70,000. So like people, you can mint as many as you want on your thing or whatever. I don't recommend minting. Like if you want one, sure. Were you here? Cool, spend the $1. But I don't think it's. I highly doubt that it's going to be worth anything. So
I wonder where the money goes. Like who created
well, it does.
that?
I mean, the money just goes to the
It's just the minting fee, right?
minting
So it's
fee.
just-
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
actually.
but who? Oh, okay. So it's
You don't
basically
actually
free.
pay for it. It's just that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
randomly generate a computer image or something on it or whatever.
Is
and
this
then
on
it's-
Consensus's website?
Yeah, it was. Where was it on? I mean, I triple checked it because I was like, I'm not gonna. I minted it on a different wallet, but yeah, consensus.
Yeah, then your hex stake's gone.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Careful,
And then
careful.
Consensus has a message. We have acquired a large stake in the hex community.
Yeah. It's just-
We have
that'd
taken
be
over
great.
God Whale's account. Big K. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah.
Cabana, we're
so-
flying tonight. Almost 270 viewers. Wow.
Yeah, and it's a high quality discussion. I advertised it as a stream for alcoholics, and it has apparently delivered. So yeah, you guys
There
rock.
it is.
man.
Yeah, consensus.net/merge, and you can.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well,
And like I said, it's
okay,
don't waste all your money on it.
there you go.
Seems
We touched on a few of these things. I just had remaining items in the checklist here. Jesse, I'll just throw this one to you. So Liquid Loans testnet, I see you've been playing around with it. Just immediate reactions. I mean, a lot of the people who sacked for it in PulseChain community, like, oh my gosh, what took so long? But it appears worth the wait because it's actually a beautiful interface and it appears to be working great. Your take on it?
Yeah. What I found interesting is even some of the strongest haters who have been shouting and creating YouTube streams saying Liquid Loans is a scam. They're gonna take all your money. It's vaporware. Like just the most ridiculous things. Like days after this thing launched, one of them even tweeted and said, "Oops, I was wrong. This thing is pretty awesome." There's not a single person out there who I've heard since this thing launched that doesn't think it's awesome and useful for PulseChain. We have to listen. Stable coins. The only other stable coins that we'll see are bridged in. There's counterparty risk. There's bridge risk. There's liquidity risk over on ETH, and then back at the exchanges, you're just stacking risks upon risks upon risks to make something like USDC or USDT or even DAI bridged in as our native stablecoin, as the preferred stablecoin. What we have now is a Hexagon community who literally can make their own, and we don't need the help of anybody else. Everything is completely trustless and immutable, no counterparty at all. And the more people that understand that, the better. There's nothing to be gained from what do I gain from billions of people using the protocol and minting USDL? I don't have a sum of USDL. Not a single USDL is ever minted until you create it for yourself, right? It's just a beautiful protocol, and it's proving itself on the testnet. By the way, there are some improvements that'll probably even be made to that front end, right? The price of Pulse. It would be nice, like you can see your collateral ratio, you can see a bunch of stuff, but it's like, where's the price of Pulse here? It would be nice if it was situated right here next to this thing over here. So if you do see something that you think should be different, there's a pretty cool ticketing system that's also trustless. Or at least like you don't have to dox yourself to communicate with the team. Just go to the ticketing system. It'll issue you like a seed phrase type thing, so you can log back into the ticketing system later, and it sends a message. You send a message to the team. They'll review that, and if it's a good idea, they'll incorporate it into the front end.
Boom! There you go. What else do we have on the list? Yeah, so we go to something, Liquid Loans is up and coming. Now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum really quick. I was really hesitant. I didn't mention anything about this project, which apparently that's all it ever was because it didn't turn out too well. But the Dodeca thing, I'll say it by name now just because I avoided it and some other people didn't. And it was just like, if you go on and say like a Uniswap or something like that, and you just play around and you put in, a certain amounts or whatever, and you can't even like buy like a test amount because the transaction keeps failing, like automatically that's a red flag. But it just turned out to be a disaster. So I just wanted to touch on this really quick because I know Jesse and I think
I was really
everybody here was very skeptical about it.
I think even Wendy's for 10Ds and Motley were.
Wendy's was
thing every like how many of these do we have to see?
If you
I'll make a prediction. There's going to be one on PulseChain, and it's going to buy Pulse.
There's not going to be like, one. There's going to be like 10. There's going to be so many.
Probably.
If you search that contract, there was 17 exact copies of that contract already running. So,
and I don't mean to bring this up and say the stupid name or whatever, but at the same time, like they do need situations like this do need to be talked about because like Wendy's and Big K are just saying there are going to be future instances of this, so we want you to be aware of it and know what to look out for. So just be careful out there. Kit, Wendy's big. I mean, any of you. What was just like what are the red flags in something like this that just says okay, just
for one,
hold
the
up,
tax,
pause, stop.
Yeah. The tax thing is just like it's
proof of weekends.
Proof of weekends, and it's been proven. The proof is that it doesn't work. So, it's kind of similar to what like Jesse was saying about him being in the Ohm forks, right? We have a long history of Ohm and Ohm forks not working, So is that to say that one couldn't succeed ever? Maybe. But like if you have a history of so many similar things doing poorly, why would you keep replicating that, So it's just as simple as like knowing the history and stuff. And like the thing that I was saying in my Telegram was like, guys, it's near the bottom where everybody gets this like shiny object syndrome. Like HEX is boring, it's been going down, but like doing the boring things is what's going to set you up for your future. If you guys are, and I say this so often, but if you're throwing thousands of dollars away in a bear, I mean, think about like a $2,000 buy on ETH at $88, but you were speculating on a shitcoin that went to zero, right? Like these are things that could set up you and your family, and completely change your life. And you're doing it because it's bored. If this was hindsight, if ETH is at $10,000-$20,000 and you weren't buying at 800 or 1,000 and you were instead buying other stuff, if HEX is at $5-$10 and you weren't buying at 3 cents, 2 cents, like at some point you have to be like, what the hell are you doing? And then also you have to use some common sense, right? So it was saying that it was buying like 3% worth of HEX and people were like, whoopee. And so I'm like, okay, so somebody has to buy $1,000 of this complete shit coin to get $3,000 of buy pressure on HEX. Like, just doesn't make a lot of sense.
There was one guy on Twitter or Telegram the other day who was trying to justify, that he had gotten into that protocol. And he said, yeah, but HEX only has to go up to, $1, or maybe he said 60 cents or something. When HEX goes back up to 60 cents, I'll break even. And I said, great. So HEX has to do a 20x for you to recoup all the money that you lost in Dodeca. Like, that's not a good justification, buddy.
For me, it was easy. I did it right the day it launched. I just put some, I've got my side money, gave money. And I don't know. I was just sitting there in the chair just thinking. And I said, this makes no sense. I just, once I thought about it, I just did it because it's something new for HEX, right? And I did the math in my head. I'm like, man, what happens when everyone's got the coins that they want? There's not going to be any transactions. And I said, I'm out. I lasted about 36 hours.
It's so funny because I found that project, during the sacrifice thing that was like real short, and like immediately I was like, I saw the percentage things and I was like, this is garbage. But then everybody else kept talking about it, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a look and see what's going on here, But like, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I could like the Spidey alerts went off right away. I was like, all right, let's this. But I mean, once you go through the project and you like see the founder video, dude, and everything, I was like, okay, this is not the charismatic founder you're looking for in a project that's exciting and unique. It's
and he blocked everybody.
He blocked everybody.
He blocked every OG that was out there, basically, or anybody who interacted with him or asked any questions. Yeah, there was a bunch of, I mean,
was he
serious red flags socially.
He was completely doxxed, though, right? So his reputation's completely ruined, which is
interesting.
interesting.
I've seen somebody put name and face and everything out already. So
usually it's like, I like to see protocols where the founding team is willing to dox and put their credibility on the line. That was an exception. That was weird. That was different. but usually, like, if you see a protocol and the team is not doxed in some form or fashion, well, they have no, like, the thing could go to zero. It could rug. It could fail. It could have a programmed in failure, whatever. And the team gets to walk away scot-free and do it all over again repeatedly. And the community is who loses. But the ones who put their face on the line are the ones who, like, get screwed.
I mean, and that kid's got to go around for a long time, and with his life wondering if someone's going to punch him in the face or not. That's for damn sure.
That's true. That's true. There's a couple of crypto founders that if I see them in public, it's a green light. Like,
yeah. So I mean, that's his reality. And yeah, the video is. I mean, even the things that he did put out were pretty hilarious marketing shit too. It was like him eating fancy dinner that's at the top of somewhere cool. You're like, all right, this seems real sketchy, man.
The one video where he's like so awkward. He's like this with his hands. He's like,
yeah.
I was like,
Dixon Piper had a cool comment here. Like, it's the first thing he's seen legitimized because the dude had a HEX tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, that's retarded. What if there was some dude doing bad shit in the Bitcoin community? And it's like, oh, but he's got a Bitcoin tattoo.
He's got a Bitcoin
tattoo. But this isn't even the first time. Do you remember the first scam with a HEX tattoo? Remember?
Hexy?
Oh yeah, no, not that one. The homegirl.
It was like a legit tattoo.
Homegirl got the man himself involved in that one. So we all fall.
That's true. She did. She got richer. I think she got somebody else in the community. Like, I think she got like a guy that was like sending her like thousands of dollars and stuff, and like rugged him. Terrible.
That's hey, we all make some.
It wasn't Vince, I hope.
No.
Poor Vince.
No, but we all have our stories.
Yeah.
Vince, yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
Whoa! What?
That was funny.
Who was that one? All right. Anyway, what's left on the list here?
There was a question, by the way, about liquid loans redemptions. Redemptions is just basically where you can take USDL and you can redeem it back at any point for $1 worth of Pulse, and those are turned off for the first 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks of testnet, that will be turned back on. The reason for that is you need the vaults. You need like a good quantity of vaults to build up, and you also want to see a big stability pool build up. So it's still advantageous if you ever find USDL trading at less than $1 to buy it, because you know that, one, you're going to buy it back to the peg it's supposed to be at, but you know that redemptions are enabled within, after 2 weeks, and you'll still be able to get your profits from doing that. But it has to be turned off for the first 2 weeks.
Is it not like theoretically possible that there's more USDL in circulation than there's Pulse?
Impossible. Absolutely impossible.
You know what it stops at? It stops at like 80% or something?
Well, at 150%, the system starts to go into recovery mode to bring it above 150%.
Okay. So that's like an 80% ratio though? Like that's
Well, an
close to-
individual can actually collateralize at 110%.
and
But
that's
as a
the
whole,
limit.
the community, like the whole protocol, stays above 150.
Is there a reason that that like the liquidations are manual? Because like couldn't somebody just like set up a bot and just
Yeah, somebody will.
Yeah.
For certain, there's always bots with these sort of things.
mm-hmm.
But like Liquid Loans isn't going to run a bot because that's centralized, right?
Gotcha.
You'd have to have a node, and like other people would do it too anyway. Like so, you just launch it. So there's a contract that has to be called to run a liquidation, knowing that everybody can either hit that button or other people are going to run the bots, and that's just the most trustless way to do it.
Gotcha.
Next up, as I look over and see the logo change, PulseX just.
Hey, I just wanted to say shout out
oh.
to you for the logo change, even while you were mid moving from one location to the other. I was like, Cabana's gone, but the logo just changed up there. What's going on?
You know,
So-
I have a production team working in a studio in northern Alberta. No,
Give them a raise. They're
it's
doing
magic, bro. It's
firework.
magic, pure magic. But anyway, as I was saying, just PulseX really quick. Limited orders on testnet. Cool.
Some people don't
Good
like 'em.
feelings. And all right, go for it.
Some people, so like it's exciting. You first hear about it, and you're like, "Oh, sweet, limit orders," but it actually buys it after your range is passed through, and then you actually get the worst end of the deal, and which is actually good for everyone else because you just push the price up higher and higher as more people are using limit orders. But it's not quite the same as limit orders over on 1inch or some other platforms.
It's more similar to like a Uniswap V3 position that just closes,
Right.
essentially. But that's
But it's better than none.
You don't
It's
get the
better
fee.
than
Do you
none.
not get the fees associated with that? I guess.
I don't know, but I mean, it's still good. It's still good overall. You can set,
it's just a
your
tool.
price and walk away. And if you're worried about it passing through a range and then buying for you, just set your limit order accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
I
the whole-
like the fact that you could do it up to a year. It's probably unnecessary for most people, but it is cool.
Yeah, I still like that. And that's the thing is that with limit orders, if it's a little bit off, it's like even if you get filled at least, because I know there's other limit order stuff that's pretty tough to get the fill. So it's fine. I think I think that's still okay if it's off a little, or that you're getting the worst deal. For not having to do the work and sit there and be there at the right time. It's good.
Oh, that's a good point Dylan brings up. Limit orders on PulseX are market buys, and your coins are removed from your wallet while you wait, which is very different than
that is interesting.
Matcha, where they actually stay in your wallet,
Right.
and get removed after it's while it's being filled.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
All right, so that's PulseX. I think we've got pretty much everything covered. That's noteworthy.
Perfect.
Shout out to Matty Allen in chat. What's up? He's catching up on 2x speed, so you can probably keep up with me, but Tendies tends to talk pretty fast, so good luck with that. Keep a nose. I've tried, man. So, it's like dollar cost, man. It's like, all right, I can only do like 1.5 or 1.25. Anyway, as we wrap up here, just like a little fun note, since this is the happy hour show. I saw this fun thread on Tangent's Twitter. So he was on with us last week, and it was just like Twitter thread of one-line roast that I stole. Some of these are pretty good. Real estate keeps going up and up, so a group of devs made a virtual world where you can also overpay for real estate. A blockchain made for big companies that they still found a way to shill to retail. That's all right. Humans lie, so we made a blockchain that doesn't, unless we lie to it. That's chain-like. All right. Dogecoin literally made as a joke. Yeah, we know that one. This is another favorite of mine. Theta. Imagine a decentralized YouTube with no one using it. Ethereum Classic, the OG Ethereum with no one using it. And EOS, buzzwords, and a plagiarized white paper. So thank you for that thread, Tangent. So
That reminds me, I got to go unstake my EOS and sell that shit. I still have some from
Oh, wow.
2016 or whenever they finished the raise. Yeah.
Yeah, once
2017.
I think it was like the voice thing came out, I was like, that's it. Like, I just unloaded everything.
I felt like the only thing anybody was ever using that chain for was like gambling dApps and stuff.
Yeah,
1 billion raised.
I wasn't around during that, but like it's my understanding that was like one of the biggest hyped things during that part of crypto, and then it just
It was pretty nuts.
then it just
And that was the first one that paused, right? Like, didn't they pause the network like Solana did? I remember when that happened.
They had some issues, but like usual, I'm friends with Dan Larimer, and Dan, I hate it that he starts something, then he leaves. He keeps
He's done it multiple times, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Steam guy. He's the one that hired me for Steam It, and he bounced on us. I was like, dude, where are you going?
I think Steam had a chance, but
Yeah, I made about $250,000 on Steam in a year and a half, just writing blog posts every day. $250,000 just writing blog posts. You guys missed it. For those of you guys who didn't have money, you didn't need money.
Mm-hmm.
Just create content.
The magic internet monies.
Our favorite.
Yes. And, free coins are great too. I know Big K is always an advocate. So is Mr. Randy.
But did somebody say free coins?
No.
All right.
All right. He's out. All right. Anyway. Just like last couple community news items on the list here. Fumble Fridays. It was the absolute worst start to
everybody fumbled.
any knockout pool that
didn't.
I've ever done. Like there's only 4 people left. So Randy is left. So Randy, go get your pick in. A buddy of mine, another Big K or BK is in, and this Big K is still in, and I think PulseX is in, and that's it. Everybody's out. Everybody's eliminated.
Everybody
week 1.
lost except
So
for
we
us.
might do a second chance one later on after these guys settle the winner. But I will post the link in the chat right now,
please.
just so if you want to keep an eye on it. But we will use this link for the next one.
Did you guys talk about the last UFC fight?
We did not. Go for it.
It was pretty interesting. I mean, the crazy thing was like from the start, Nate Diaz, right? Like so.
Diaz Ferguson.
Yeah. So Nate Diaz, so The Rock, right? The Rock has this big branding for all UFC. The Rock shoes are on every UFC fighter, and like Nate Diaz is like on camera, he's having this like professional interview before the fight, and she's like, "Thank you for being so professional." And like literally right after that, he's like, "You know what? Fuck these shoes. These fucking shoes suck. Like, who made these?" And then he just like throws them. And then after the fight, like Tony Ferguson hands him a Monster can. He's like, "Get that shit out of here." He's just like, kind of anti-establishment, that we can get with. And they kind of did him dirty for a long time, and so they really wanted, Chimaev to like destroy him. And I mean, he looked violent in that matchup with Kevin Holland. Like he ragdolled the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So I wonder what it would have been with Nate, but I'm glad Nate had that fight that we all wanted to see between him and Tony Ferguson, like 2 awkward stand-up fighters, and it was good.
Since he is anti-establishment, it'd be awesome if he did another fight and he just took a big old HEX banner and laid it over the crypto.com.
That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. I have to say that there's got to be there is the money fight. The money fight is him and Conor McGregor, number 3. That will probably bring in the biggest pay-per-view that UFC or anybody has ever seen. And I think that's why, like, after the fight, like Dana even said, Nate's been with us for 15 years and like we're open to him, because like
I think that'll happen actually.
That's a huge money fight. That's a
Yeah.
huge money fight.
I think that can happen. What else we got? That's about it. HEX, this is a fun little item. I know Big K likes to have fun as he chimes in and out. So perhaps I'll say free coins. No, didn't work. All right.
Yeah, don't you?
He got his free NFT, so he's happy.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm
all settled up for the day.
All right, I think somebody else did too. Just one other community note: there is a little HEX cruise going on. So that is next. This coming April, and you can look at it online. I think it's go to Black Hexkin's YouTube. So she's thrown that together. It's a Hexkin event. So.
What cruise line is it on?
I believe it's on Royal. So it's like
And the
legit.
prices, like I didn't realize cruise prices were so cheap. Now, I mean, it's only going to the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's
not
a
that
4-day.
far, but
Yeah.
like
Which one's the cheap one though? Because like I've always like I haven't been on a cruise before, but I always said like I probably want to go on like one of the nicer ones, like at least like Virgin or Norwegian or whatever. Because like the way I see it is like if you go for the bottom of the barrel, it's like walking into a Walmart, and I don't like to go to Walmart anyway. But imagine the doors of Walmart closing behind you and then drifting off the sea with all those people. Like get me the fuck out of here. I want and they're all drunk and shit. Like get me the fuck out of here. I want
That's probably like a very old Carnival ship. That's what I would
okay,
equate
Carnival.
that to.
Okay, so yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Carnival's the bottom of the barrel.
the
But,
prices,
like,
it
This
looked
is
like
a
they're
new
like
ship, I think, or newer. So it's a
Okay,
nice
cool,
ship.
cool,
It's
cool.
a big ship,
Yeah.
so it looks like
Yeah,
pretty
see,
cool.
it's like $500 for like the smallest room, and like I don't know, $1,200 for a giant apartment looking room.
Yeah. But really,
like,
how
I
often
saw
are you
that and I
going
was
to be
like,
in that?
shit, that's how much it costs to go on a cruise. Like,
Where are they
yeah,
sailing from?
They
Where's-
probably
where's
add
it?
stuff, right? Like that's
Out of
not
Lauderdale,
including
I
like
believe.
the food package and everything like that. But it's still cheap, like for what you get. I think that it's a good deal. I definitely want to do it at some point.
Yeah, I think it'd be a cool community event. So I wanted to shout that out there because I think there's like limited availability. So a good amount of people have jumped in on it already. I think there's like a fishing excursion. There's going to be like different themed events. We might, I don't know, in early negotiations, may do a happy hour on the boat. We'll see. So we'll see about that. But anyway, oh my gosh. See, Hexy Quinn, how did I know you were going to say this? They are not. They have such a bad stigma by like some people online. Have you been on one? Or maybe you haven't.
I
Maybe
admittedly
had a
at least said I haven't been on one, but that was my perception of it. You know,
I've been on plenty, and that's why my Carnival cruise joke.
the new Virgin
came
ship
about.
looks really, really good though. Like
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
mean,
some
I've been
videos
on
that.
some of the newer Royal ones, and they are immaculate. So it's like a
Nice.
floating
Yeah, I was in
city.
the U.S. Navy, okay, and we're used to diesel showers. You know, and shit.
Anything's an upgrade.
Yeah, I wonder what Motley thinks, but yeah, he's over in.
for any Hexicans that have not been to the Bahamas, like I highly suggest it.
Love
Bring-
it.
Bring
Not right
a
now,
set
though.
of snorkels and fins, or you'll end up buying some while you're there because it's just amazing.
Not right now though, because we got a storm coming.
Oh yeah, and
Do you?
great. Like you're in the target zone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great.
saw the map this morning, but it hasn't moved, I guess.
Oh,
or-
Motley, I was like, oh, you left at the right time. Awesome.
Right. Leave you
And
guys.
I'm here with his dog. We're just gonna like hunker down.
Oh my gosh.
Scary stuff.
Yep.
Well, we keep an eye
I'm
on
a
it,
Florida
and,
boy, so
That's how I found out
I've
about
been doing
Panama. It was Hurricane Hugo. It was coming. It was going to hit Puerto Rico back in '97, and they gave me the option: go to Panama or go to Iceland. I said, "Fuck Iceland! I'm going to Panama," and that's how I found this place and
Oh, that's
fell in
awesome.
love with the country, and that's how I moved here.
Yeah,
thanks
I
to
mean, like,
Hurricane
Excellent
Hugo.
choice.
You know, Colombia, like I think Medellin's only like a 2-hour flight from here. Like
Yeah.
that is the cool thing about Puerto Rico is there's some
Yeah.
like really cool locations that you can get to. And I mean, I love Panama. I'd like to go back at some point.
Yeah,
So
come on down.
Nice. All right, gents. It was an awesome discussion. Just excellent viewership, awesome chat questions, interaction. Yeah. So my advertising was true. It was an alcoholics stream. So I hope you
More
all
than
enjoyed
clickbait.
it. Yes, more than clickbait. And before we go, we're gonna.
I got bath time going
Tell
on
yourself
right
real
over
quick.
here.
Go
So,
ahead.
Big Kirkowski, Telegram, Twitter. Check us out at Highest of Stakes documentary, thehighestofstakes.com. Other than that, I got things to do, y'all. So I'll catch
Cheers,
y'all
Kay.
next week.
Peace be
Cheers.
with you.
All right, see you, Big K.
All right, now that that's 4Tendies, obviously 4Tendies. But what else you got going on? Because you run a great or help moderate a great Telegram chat that is
at
tweets
Legion
out a lot
VC
of
News.
nonsense. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's a lot of good day-to-day talk about what's going on in the markets, HEX, and the
what's that
community in general. Oh, at Legion VC News on t.me/Legion VC News on Telegram. And yeah, I mean, check out HEX Merge. I think there's some deals going on right now.
Is there a coupon code? I'd love me a coupon code.
Do you have one? If not, we got to get you one.
Well, I've used one before at the
No,
request.
like we can get you one, like an
All
extra
right.
one, so you can.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, we'll do
I
that.
spend enough. All right.
Yeah, right. You deserve it.
Slide in the
You and me
DMs.
both. You and me both.
Had another shipment last week. It was rather glorious. Of course, it's the end of summer where I'm at now, so I need to go over to Florida to capture more of that.
You
the
gonna
tank
start
tops and
snowbirding it?
Nah, a little bit. I'll be there in a couple weeks again. So,
Nice.
Randy Hilarski, where can we find you, good sir? And you've been. What's the countdown at now? Like 11 days.
Tonight is we got 10 days until
10
the
days.
end of Shemitah this year 5732.
And it is not disappointed, by the way. Like you've been
This
counting
year's
this
been
down
awesome.
for like 20 days so far, and it keeps getting more interesting. Like by the tick, like daily tick, crypto kick, traditional markets, and we still have 10 days left.
yeah. You can join me. I'm on YouTube, and if you want to watch a replay, it's also on Odyssey, so you can check it out there.
And Randy Hilarski on
everywhere,
Twitters, everywhere. Yeah, you're all over the socials. Just ask Jesse. How do we find you?
Yep, just ask Jesse. Anywhere on any platform, just type that in. You'll find me. Liquid Loans testnet is absolutely awesome. It will be a multi-billion-dollar protocol with the. I actually think that the USDL is going to be the native most volume traded stablecoin on the chain. And testnet's free. Go play with it. Go look at it because we can't find anything negative about it. And then Power City did some pretty cool things over at satellite events during the PulseCon. We had just an amazing party for the Hexagon community with DJ Lethal, Freddie Quotes, and Corey and Investor, and some of the other rappers in our own community. We had a fashion show event that was just amazing, and I hope that demonstrates like how passionate we are. And we also have some really badass protocols that are launching on PulseChain, so check that out as well. You literally don't want to miss it, because we also have some HEX plays, we have some PulseX plays, and we have some Liquid Loans add-ons and front ends that are just going to blow people away. So check out Power City.
Just no new coins that you have to sacrifice for that will pump HEX. I don't know. That's a joke, but anyway, just on that note for Power City, Jesse, I got to hang out with Freddie Quotes after he got back, and he had nothing but positive things to say about the whole Power City experience, and he had a great time with you guys, and he's really excited for it. So shout out to him. I was hanging with him, but just of note, off top of mind, man, he was really excited after coming away with that with you guys. So
yeah,
good stuff, man.
Power City will absolutely be the sleeping giant, and we're super excited about what's coming to PulseChain.
So how many X's is my Watt token going to do?
Well, you stake it for the fees, and you don't care about how many X's it does.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Right.
There you go.
I have no idea what I signed for. I know I have Watt. That's
just like the loan token. You stake it for the fees, and don't care what the X's do. But if testnet's proving, testnet's proving that the price is just going up and up and up. Like at one point, it went up to like $900 a token, and it was like, holy crap! Like, could it outperform everything else on the chain? Yeah, when it's all locked up and vested up and nobody's selling it, absolutely. And it was literally designed that way. So
cool.
Yeah. All right, before I go, I got to do this, and it's just a one-word answer. When PulseChain, before the end of the year or no? Tendies.
I got to say a range, November to February.
Oh, all right. So, all right. I appreciate that. Randy, before the end of the year or no?
Yeah, I think we're going to have it December. Yeah.
And Jesse, before the end of the year or no?
No, but we will beat ETH starting to market.
So you're kind of like in a range maybe with Wendy's.
Charting's probably going to be a while.
Quarter. I imagine
definitely a safer answer.
Yeah. First quarter of next year, probably.
I'll go Q4. I'll go before the end of the year. So we'll leave on that note. Fun. It's every day's closer, right? So we'll end there. Thank you, 4Tendies, Big K, Randy Filarski, Just Ask Jesse. Awesome stream, guys. I really appreciate it, and thanks for dealing with the travels and keeping the great conversation going. And yeah, we'll see you next week for the season 3 premiere of Happy Hour. Hopefully, I'll book a nice little guest list for y'all with some trivia, and perhaps I can get Vince back on here. Hey,
I think
Vince.
I'm still champion. So let's go.
Yeah. All right. And we got Wendy's because Motley's out, but maybe he'll chime in from Vietnam in the early morning. We'll see. But
I don't know. He looks like he's in the boondocks.
he is like living the third world life in some spots.
It looks really good though. He took he
The
sent
food
me a
looks
picture.
amazing.
He took 16 people out to dinner and it was $100.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
So, thank you, Footsteps. Thank you, Maddie. And yeah, we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. And cheers.